The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Tier Tuesdays featuring the HighLowSports podcast. It is DJ, joined as always by my co-hosts Kelsey and Kelsey. Tier Tuesdays, they've been fun. They've been a hit. We've gone up and down the sports world. And today, we're going to go a little more traditional with some of these tiers, too. We're going to go directly to teams.
Yeah, no, hey, look, in honor of the MLB's All-Star Weekend being here, I know it's not the weekend, even though they're playing it on Tuesday anymore, but we're going to call it the All-Star Weekend anyways. But in honor of that, we're going to rank these MLB teams at the All-Star break. There might be some prizes. There might be some funnies. There might be some what the heck are we thinking type of teams. You know how it is. Usually it's the normal mix of bags for our rankings.
It'll be some good, some bad, and some ugly. So we'll go ahead and break out the board now. We'll go and take a look at where we stand as we look from top to bottom. We got World Series favorite at the top and moving the team to Las Vegas at the bottom and a little bit of everything in between. So since I went first last week, Kelsey, you can go ahead and take the reins this time. You can lead us off with the Los Angeles Anaheim Angels.
Yeah, so the Angels, it's been one of those seasons for them, right? It's led by Shohei and Mike Trout, no doubt about it. But I'm just going to say right here, they're going to fall apart or go on a hot streak. I don't think they're a guaranteed playoff team. I don't think they should make the playoffs. And I really not sure if they could totally surprise somebody, as in like a wild card team. I think that they're really going to be, make or break here. They're going to fall apart or they're going to go on a hot streak. I don't think there's any in between here. And who knows, maybe Mike Trout or Shohei gets traded by the end of the season.
I would say they were my World Series runner-up at the beat for the preseason predictions. And, well, they've been kind of what I expected, very up and down, but I was predicting the hot streak late. When you have two of the best players in the world, you just need everybody else to not stink. Unfortunately, that's not been the case the whole season. So we'll see, but I think that's the perfect spot for them right now. They got their work cut out for them, and they got to get healthy because about a week ago, 44% of their payroll was injured in roughly 48 hours. So maybe they got to get a little bit healthy with that too. So next, we're going to go to the Oakland A's / Las Vegas A's / not even 20-win A's. There's a category made just for them moving to Las Vegas. So we're not going to sugarcoat that one. It's been a rough season for the Athletics, and yet there's not a whole lot else to say here. Hoping for them better for in the future, but it's not their year.
Yeah, they'll be lucky to get 50 wins at this point in time in the season. They're at 25 right now. So if they go by the standard, the law of averages, they should get to 50. But I'm not going to hold my breath.
They're going to get 49 now just because I said that, and that's going to be an achievement.
Yeah, exactly. Probably, honestly. But yeah, so that'll take us straight to the opposite side of the barrel here, and that's the Houston Astros. As you can see here, all AL West we're starting out with just because alphabeticals. I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to stick them all the way in World Series favorite. I think at this point in time in the AL, they are a World Series favorite. If you don't think so, I'm kind of surprised for most people. I mean, they are sitting here just behind the Rangers, but you're still 50-41. You're talking about a team that's been to the World Series, 5 out of the last 8 years, it feels like. So, yeah, I'm going to have a hard time not putting them as a World Series favorite. They're not even the best in the AL West at this point in time, but I think they're still pretty good.
Absolutely. So, and honestly, like you said, they've been in how many? More than half of the last handful of World Series. It's almost turned into a Houston Invitational, at least the ALCS at that point. So I think until not proven otherwise, they're definitely up there. So can't argue there. Next, we got the Atlanta Braves, and not even going to sugarcoat this one. Throw them right up there, World Series favorite, and put them ahead of the Astros. You got 60 wins. You're leading the NL East as well. Honestly, they look like the best team. Love them, hate them, don't care about them. They've looked fantastic. The roster, top to bottom, the play, the home runs, everything. They've probably looked like arguably the best team in the league so far at the halfway point or the All-Star.
I'd agree with that. I mean, they are definitely, honestly, just by record, the best team in baseball right now. But beyond that, it does look like the most fun and exciting team to watch night in and night out. So I definitely agree that they should be a World Series favorite. If, again, this is one of those situations, if you don't believe us, just look at the stats. It'll tell you everything you need to know. But that'll take us into the NL Central here with the Brewers. And the Brewers are an interesting team. To me, I think they can surprise some people. I think they're going to end up in this wild card chase. They are right now second in their own division. But I do think they have a possibility of even taking that division, if not, maybe even getting, a top 2 seed here in the NL, maybe a number 2 behind the Braves if they try, if they get on the right run at the end of the season. But I do think they have a very interesting bag of players. They have a lot of good defensive players, but they're hot and cold. So if they can catch the hot train at the right time, I do think the Brewers here have an opportunity to surprise. I'm not going to put them in the should make the playoffs because, well, they might surprise you the other way too, but I'm not going to say they're going to fall apart like the Angels. I do think they are a little more solid, a little more actively positive than the Angels are.
I would agree with that too. I think they have some good momentum, but they are very momentum based, it feels like, as well. So as soon as that momentum gets shaky, they could end up like 9 games below 500 in the blink of an eye, it feels like. Or they could end up 10 games above 500. They're very momentum based, it feels like. They could be brewing up something, or they could be spilling the drink all over the place. It could be no in between. But it's now going to take us to the St. Louis Cardinals, who they are moving themselves to Las Vegas. You put them in that bottom tier with the A's. I know record-wise, they're not the worst team on this list. They're not really they're not, honestly 38-52, which is not good, but it's not bad. But when you look at expectations that were on, they're supposed to win that division comfortably. They still have good players like Wilson Contreras, etc. But I'm putting them in the bottom tier, considering they had expectations to run away with the division or at least win it comfortably. And they're in last by a comfortable margin, like not even like a
it's a 3-game margin, so yeah, it is a pretty good go.
And that's just to get out of the cellar. We're not even talking about to get in the first place. Like that's just to get yourself out of the cellar. You're 17-25 at home, 11.5 games behind the Reds. Like it, considering they had expectations, like they were supposed to be a comfortable playoff team coming in. I think we both had them making the playoffs during our predictions. They're gonna head out to Las Vegas too for now. They're gonna stay at the bottom because they're not trading away any old expensive players. But they have been a bit of a letdown. Unless they want to flip everything on its head, it's going to be a rough season for them unless the second half is a complete 180.
Yeah, no, I do think the Cardinals have been rough. I don't know if I would have put them down and going to Vegas. I might have just said the trading away any expensive players. No, but you know what? I can understand. I'm also a Cardinal hater, so I'm more than okay to seeing a Cardinal team that's not great right now. That's for sure. But that's going to take us over to the Cleveland Guardians. That's right, the Guardians, the first place Guardians. Unfortunately, they're only at 500. I'm going to say that they should make the playoffs because the AL Central is so terrible. But I don't think this is a team that's going to go far in the playoffs. I mean, they do have the possibilities. Obviously, Josh Naylor being as fantastic as he is. Let's not forget Jose Ramirez right now. We've already talked about both of those guys. Jose Ramirez, an all-star. Josh Naylor should be an all-star. Unfortunately, was snubbed from both decisions, even the fill-ins. But yeah, so I mean, you look at this team. If they could just figure out their pitching, I think this team completely 180s, and they could honestly become a dark horse for a World Series berth here out of the AL. But I do think right now, you look at them, they're going to make the playoffs because of the AL Central and because of what it is. But that's as much as I could say about the Guardians right now.
I will say getting Tristan McKenzie back healthy in the pitching lineup at the back end of the season, I think will help that out a lot too. I mean, their pitching's been, as you mentioned, one day it looks great. The next minute they're giving up 8 runs and they can't score any. So I think they can get pitching comfortable, I think that'll help them out a lot.
When your young guys that are coming up from pitching for the first time are doing better than what is supposed to be your ace and Shane Bieber right now, that's a problem. That's all I'll say right there. And that's where I'll stop with the Guardians.
Yeah, that's a fair way to put it. So now we got the Chicago Cubs. Fitting that these two are back to back, but I'm going to go and put them right in the middle. I'm going to put them they're on that fringe of trading away and might fall apart. So I'm going to go ahead and put them at might fall apart, might go on a hot streak. It's unlikely they go on the hot streak. I don't think they're going to completely fall apart, but I think they're going to kind of stay that status quo, almost hovering at 500. I mean, 42 and 47 right now. I think they're just going to ride that all the way through. I don't think they're going to make any jumps over like the Brewers or the Reds, but I don't think they're going to tank to the mediocrity as the Cardinals. So they can I think those kind of sit right in that middle.
Yeah, no, I think that's pretty safe bet for the Cubbies. It's weird with the NL Central. Sometimes there's always that one team that might surprise you. So I think it's fitting to put them here because they are in that position, sitting in third in the NL Central, that they could absolutely go bonkers at the end of the season. Because with the NL Central, the way their schedules are set up, the Cubs play the Cardinals. It's like 12 out of the last 24 games or something like that. So it could be a situation where they win all those games against the Cardinals, find themselves in a wild card spot, or even potentially vying for the NL Central lead, surprisingly enough. So, yeah, I know I agree with that. I do think they obviously need to figure out their pitching, though. Pretty much like a lot of these teams going forward. It seems to be figure out your pitching, you might have a chance. But that'll take us to kind of the surprise here in the NL West, the Diamondbacks. Right now, sitting in second place. Unfortunately, Corbin Carroll did get injured. We don't know how severe it is. I don't know if they released that yet. But I'll say that I think they could surprise some teams. I'm gonna put them in good surprise right next to the Brewers. I do think there's a possibility they fall apart, and but I really think this is a team that might surprise somebody, end up making a wild card, maybe even winning the wild card and the next round. But I'm not going to go too far ahead of myself. I'm just going to say could surprise and make the playoffs.
You know what? I think that's about fair. I think it feels like they will make the playoffs, but you never know what could happen, especially in the NL West, where that division top to bottom is actually pretty decent for the most part. So I think that's a fitting spot for them. So next, we're going to go to the team that is leading them by half a game, the Los Angeles Dodgers, who, if we had cusp like tier and a half, this would be perfect. I'm going to put them at the top of should make the playoffs. They're at the very top of that. They're on the fringe of World Series favorites. I just can't quite give them that there because that should be an elite tier. We shouldn't have like more than 2 or 3 teams in there, maybe 4 max. And I don't know if I'm quite ready to put the Dodgers there. They should make the playoffs. They should probably win a series, but I'm not sure. I kind of want to say everybody look out like you do with the Braves, the Astros, and probably 1 or 2 other teams we're going to talk about. So they should make the playoffs for now.
I'd agree with that. I don't think that anybody's going to disagree with that one at all. It is what it is. I mean, it is what it is. Let's be honest. They have one of the highest payrolls in baseball, right? You have all these star-studded talents, and they're finally showing what they can do. You're also getting your pitching healthier again. So the Dodgers could be a scary team come October. I mean, that World Series favorite, they could, like you said, if there was a half ranking there, that's exactly where I would put them too. So I totally agree with you. Putting them in the front of should make the playoffs. No surprise there. DJ, I'm actually going to let you go back to back. I don't think I can justify picking my favorite team after this one. So I'm going to let you take the Giants. I'm going to let you handle this one.
All right. So for the Giants, I'm going to put them kind of where it feels like they are every single year. They might fall apart or they might go on a hot streak because they can go on a hot streak and win the World Series, or they could fall apart and be absolutely terrible. That is kind of their mantra of the last decade, it feels like. So I'm going to stick. They're going to stick kind of comfortable right there because they might not win the NL. They might not quite win that division with the NL West. I think that's too competitive a division. They're not too far out of it, but I think they could make a push for a wild card. And once they get in the playoffs, I never rule the Giants out at that point. They're almost like the Miami Heat are basketball. Once they get in there, it's like, oh God, look out. So I'm going to stick them right in the middle, though. They're a threat. They're a really good threat. If they were in another division, I might even have them a little bit higher, but that's a tough division to work in.
No, I'm actually kind of glad you put them there because that's what I was thinking as well. I just didn't want to be the one to do it because bias. But that'll take us to the Toronto Blue Jays here. I'm gonna take this one and say the Blue Jays. I'm gonna say could surprise somebody. I have no rhyme and or reason other than this team is way too good, and the AL East is way too good as a whole to not get at least 2-3 teams in the playoffs. I think there's going to be 3 teams that make the playoffs here, and I think the Blue Jays are going to be one of them. And we talked about this actually in our preseason stuff. We do think the AL East is that division that you're going to see 2, maybe 3 of the teams that get in the playoffs coming straight out of there because they're just so good from top to bottom. I mean, you have one of the better teams there in the Yankees above 500 at 49 and 42, but sitting in 4th place. So it's tough to look at that and be like, yeah. But I'm gonna say the Blue Jays could surprise. I'm not gonna say they're gonna make the playoffs for sure because again, it could go the other way. But they are definitely gonna surprise some people.
That's definitely fair. And you can go back to back. Since I went back to back, you would take Seattle too.
All right, Seattle. Seattle's an interesting one for me because they're in the AL West. They are a young, talented team, but I just think the AL West is too good. But I'm going to put them in the might fall apart or might go on a hot streak range. I'm not going to say they're going to trade away any old expensive players. They don't really have any old expensive players to begin with. They're not going to be that bad. They're going to be really in this category where they could go one way or the other. I feel like they're going to stay around 500, but there's a possibility they fall below, and that's really what I mean by fall apart or go on a hot streak, and they could 10 games above, 20 games above 500 potentially. But it still won't be enough to catch up with this streaking Rangers and streaking Astros team right now. So they're kind of in a tough situation. In any other division, I might put them a little bit higher here as a good surprise team. But I'm going to stay right here and say they might fall apart and might go on a hot streak.
I think that's a fair spot. I think that fits for them too because they could be a playoff team really easily, but they can also just miss out. So I think that's a good spot for them. We got the Miami Marlins now next, and I'm going to put them in should make the playoffs. They're going to be at the back end of it, but they have the second best record in the NL. The problem is they have to deal with the Braves in their division. You put them in any other division, this isn't even a conversation. They're 53 and 39, 30 and 18 at home. They're 8.5 games back of their division, sure, but that's the Braves' fault. That's not the Marlins' fault. So keep them as should make the playoffs, and they will. I don't see why they wouldn't make one of the wild card spots. They're better than every other team in the NL besides their division leader, so they should make the playoffs.
I wholeheartedly agree. I'm just going to say that and leave it there. That pitching staff is too good, and that offense is too good from top to bottom. And I don't know what it is, but they keep finding guys that can hit for above 300 averages to play second base. So it works for them. Moving on to another team in that division, the New York Metropolitans, a.k.a. the Mets. And this is going to be the first one we get in trading away any old expensive players. They have lots of them. Don't be surprised if you see them get shipped out. I could see Max Scherzer here end up somewhere else. I could see Justin Verlander ending up somewhere else. I could see Francisco Lindor ending up somewhere else. The Mets are. It's a struggle bus right now, and I mean this is the most expensive payroll in baseball, and it does not look like it. You cannot be 6 games under 500 and think that you're doing okay right now. It's been despicable. The quality baseball they've been showing has been poor, to say the least. So yeah, that's all I'm going to say about the Mets.
That's fair. Next, we got the Washington Nationals, who pack your bags. You're going to Vegas, my good friends, because you have the second worst record in the NL. I mean, you have 36 wins. Only the Rockies are a little bit worse. You were 15-32 at home. Your fans aren't even showing up to watch you. They're showing up to watch a visitor. Like if the Reds are in town, they're not coming to watch you play the Reds. They're coming to watch you play Ellie De La Cruz. They're coming to see him. So they don't even have anyone to trade away because they traded away Juan Soto last year. They've already kind of emptied the well. They're almost like the Wizards at this point. They're just kind of hanging out. So they can head to Las Vegas and join that crew as well as one of the less preeminent teams in baseball is what we'll leave it at for now.
That's probably a good way to put that.
Turn that W in their logo upside down because it does not represent wins.
No, it's more like the Wambulance, but I'll stop there. The Orioles, the team sharing the DMV region with Washington, and literally on the opposite end of the spectrum. I feel like this is a team. I'm going to put them ahead of the Blue Jays. I'm actually going to stick them right here in the should make the playoffs range because, again, they're in the AL East. They're second in the AL East. They're about 13 games above 500. They're doing pretty good for themselves. I mean, 51 wins at the break. Not too shabby for a team that shouldn't be here. Let's be honest.
Before, actually.
Oh, 54. My apologies. You're right.
They're second in the AL altogether.
Yeah. So behind one team, and that's, we'll get to them later. But yeah, no, I'm going to go Orioles here. Should make the playoffs in some form or fashion, whether it be wild card or winning the AL East. They're going to the playoffs this year.
100%. And talk about a turnaround, right? The Orioles went from almost kind of a laughing stock to now they're a powerhouse. How things have changed so quickly.
Yeah, it's a turnaround for the ages. I mean, it started a couple years back, and they surprised some people last year as well, and then now here you are.
Haven't looked this good since Miguel Tejada was suiting up for them. It feels like maybe a little bit far back, but it's been a while, so we'll definitely see. But next we have the San Diego Padres, and I might be a little bit biased here because I still think they are a really good team. So I'm going to put them at could surprise. It's a little bit high considering their record, and that division's tough. But top to bottom, that roster is as good as just about anybody on the list, minus a couple at the top. They got to figure out a lot of their pitching. It's very up and down. That batting lineup is as good as it gets, and I still think they're better than all the teams that might fall apart or go on a hot streak, even though they are the team that might fall apart or go on a hot streak. So I'm going to get them. It's the back end of could surprise because I think they could sneak into that wild card spot, and they could cause some problems for some of those teams above them. So I'm going to put them at could surprise, but they do got some work to do in the second half of the season.
That's fair. I actually can understand that. I really don't have anything to add to that one, so I'm going to move right on to the Phillies, and I'm going to slide them right here next to the Padres. I think they could surprise as well. They're sitting at third right now in the NL East, but again, that's a tough division. Sitting at third, it's 48-41, I believe, is their record. Not too bad. They finally figured out a lot of their issues. They're starting to get on the right page. And again, with that payroll, with that lineup, if you just get them close, they're going to figure out a way to get to the playoffs. I don't think there's any doubt. If they could just get Bryce Harper to show up
and be
at
healthy.
Some point in time, stay healthy and show up. Those are the two things right now. That seems to be the key. But Trey Turner right now is doing what he can. And this Phillies team, I mean, don't sleep on them. They could definitely blow some people out of the water.
Absolutely. They're another one. If they get in, they can very easily win. But now we got the Pittsburgh Pirates, and I'm kind of torn with them because they should be trading away any old expensive players. But I'm going to stick them there because I don't think they're going to go on a hot streak or fall apart. I think they're going to kind of maintain that status quo too. So not as bad as the Mets as far as trading away old and expensive players, but they're not really doing anything, unfortunately. So I think they're just they're not going anywhere. They're pretty much like the Cubs with a little bit lower on the totem pole.
That's fair. I can understand that, and I will just the Pirates. I mean, look, it started with their City Connect jerseys, right? Those were disappointing.
That was what all went down.
Yeah, they're a weird team. Honestly, they are at times one of the hottest teams in the league, and then at times one of the worst teams in the league equally. So I don't know what to think about them night in and night out. But you know who I do like to think about night in and night out, and that is this Texas Rangers team. And I'm really gonna say I want to put them up here in World Series favorite, but it's not sustained long enough for me. So I'm gonna put them in should make the playoffs, but I'm putting them right at the front of should make the playoffs, right where the Dodgers are. Again, if there was a half tier here, I'm putting them in that half tier with the Dodgers. I think these two are two teams, and it sounds funny, right? Because the Astros leading the AL West, Astros second in the AL West, are ahead on my rankings over the Texas Rangers, who are leading the AL West. So yeah, no, I'm gonna go Rangers here and should make the playoffs. I don't think there's any doubt they should make the playoffs. I just think the question is, are they going to finish in first, or are they going to fall back and end up in a wild card position?
That's a fair spot for them as well. I think them and the Dodgers are both right in that. May not win their division, but they get in. Nobody really wants to play them necessarily. I know that Rangers are technically leading their division, but kind of 6-1 and half a dozen. The
others. I mean, it's a 2-game difference between the two.
Exactly. So next we got the Tampa Bay Rays. I'm not going to waste any time. World Series favorite, leading the AL, 20 games above 500 at home. They've been sensational. They lead the AL comfortably by 4 games in the AL East and the AL in general. Got a little cold there their last 10, going about 3-7 down the stretch. But I mean, when you've been that dominant going into All-Star break, it's to be expected. So I think Tampa Bay's, they're one of those World Series favorites. If we did betting odds, they're right there with everybody else at the top.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to agree. I think Tampa Bay, I'm going to even slide them ahead of the Astros. That's just my personal preference there. I just don't think there's any reason they shouldn't be. Obviously, being where they are, being the best team in the AL, they should be there ahead of the Astros. That's my tiebreaker. But yeah, no, I think this is the team that as long as they can, stay healthy going down the stretch, nothing crazy happens. This is a situation where they easily make the playoffs, and nobody wants to face that team in the playoffs. That's just not a fun team to face, and it's been that way for a while now. They're either just too tricky or they're just too skilled to try to deal with night in and night out. And as long as you don't get them on a 1-game situation, like if you can get them, if you can get them on a 1-game situation and they don't get a chance to plan for a 7-game series, you got a chance. That's about the best you can ask for. So yeah, I'm right there with you. Keep the Rays at the World Series favorite for sure. But I'm going to go down to the Red Sox. And like I've been talking about with the AL East, I'm not going to put them in trading away any old expensive players. I'm not even going to put them in might fall apart or might go on a hot streak. I'm going to say they could surprise some people. Yes, they are last in the AL East. However, they are 48-43 in the AL East. If you put them in any other division, they're leading the AL Central. They're third in the AL West. They're killing it in the NL as well. I mean, as long as you don't put them in the NL East, they're second, they're third in the NL East. They'd be third in the NL Central, and, well, I guess they'd be fourth in the NL West. So not as great in the NL, but they're in the AL, so here you go. AL East could surprise. You just don't know who's going to finish in third in this division. And whoever finishes in third probably has the best chance to make a wild card run here. So give me the Red Sox as a good surprise team.
They definitely got some work, but if they can get there, you never know. Is that they're definitely not out of it, that's for sure. And speaking of not out of it, a team that looked like they were out of it and came from the depths of nowhere, we got the Cincinnati Reds, who, since Ellie De La Cruz came into the lineup, they're like, 23-4 or something absolutely asinine like that.
Yeah.
Throw them, it should make the playoffs at the back end of it. They're ahead of all those good surprise teams. They have 50 wins all of a sudden when it felt like they were going to be the cellar dweller. I think they might be higher up on should make the playoffs if they didn't have such a rough start. But considering the hot streak they went on, is it sustainable? Don't know if we could put them higher than all the other teams. But I got to put them ahead of those could surprise teams because they've already surprised. You can't could surprise when you've already surprised everybody. So give me should make the playoffs, especially when your best players are kids. They're a lot less likely to run down afterwards. They might sputter coming out of the break, but towards the back end of it, they should have the youthful exuberance. So give me the Reds. It should make the playoffs.
Hey, naivety is a key thing when it comes down to trying to make these playoff runs. We saw it before. with the young Braves team that made a World Series and they shouldn't have been there. So I do think this Reds team is a fun, exciting team. Obviously, you said Ellie De La Cruz. Absolutely so much fun to watch. 2 pitches, 3 stolen bases the other night. Absolutely fantastic. But that's going to take us from one end of the spectrum to the other yet again, and that's the Colorado Rockies. And that's just no. Go to Vegas. Dude, go somewhere, anywhere. Leave Colorado. Just disappear. Trade Chris Bryant. Do what you got to do because right now it's not working for you at the Mile High Air. What is it? 34 wins on the season right now? No, get out of here. 18 games back. There's always one team in the NL West that just seems to suck it up every year. This year is it's the Colorado Rockies, and it's not good. It's not pretty at all.
Absolutely not. And you know what? We're not going to waste any time on Kansas City. They're heading to Vegas as well, too. Second worst team in the entire league. Get out of Patrick Mahomes' shadow. Get out of there. It's not looking great right now. It's a bad season for the Royals. So moving on. We're not going to spend too much time there.
No, that's fine with me. We're going to stay in division here. We're going to move to the Tigers. 39-50. I'm not going to say they're going to move to Vegas. I'm not going to give them that much disappointment. They're trading away any old expensive players. Maybe Miguel Cabrera goes to an actual challenger to get himself another ring. You never know, but they're not going to stick around too much longer in any competitive sense.
Yeah, absolutely not. Next, we got the Minnesota Twins, 45-46, half a game out of the division lead in a bad division. We've got the Guardians up. It should make the playoffs, but I'm going to go ahead and put the Twins. It could surprise because I think the Guardians are a better team, and I think they'll get healthier, and I think they'll be better. They should win the division. But if they don't, the Twins can maybe go on their own little run and make something of it, kind of like they almost did last year before the Guardians held off late. So I'll put the Twins. It could surprise, but once again, it's tough because it's a bad division. It's those two at the top, and then they're at 500. Then after that, it goes downhill real quick.
Yeah, I mean, I put them at the front of could surprise just because there's the chance they win that division pretty easily. I mean, again, we don't know what the Guardians are going to do with their pitching staff, so very interesting to keep an eye on that going forward. But yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. Could surprise is a comfortable spot for them. But again, kind of rounding out this division, the NL Central and its awfulness. I put Detroit in trading away any old expensive players. We have a team moving the team to Las Vegas. Can I get a half line here and just like gave up so bad you watched strike 3 from the dugout for one of their batters. I mean, this is atrocious to watch the Sox. I'm just going to say they're trading away any expensive players, like any old expensive players. Tim Anderson should be gone. Luis Albert it should be gone. You should be seeing everybody on this team just get traded because right now it's not working for the Sox. They're not going to move to Vegas, even though they probably should get one team out of Chicago. Maybe that might, I don't know, do something for Chicago teams. Maybe it might make them better. I don't know what's going on, but right now the White Sox are not it.
Yeah, so that's going to round us out with everybody's favorite or least favorite team, the New York Yankees. And I'm going to put them at the top of might fall apart or go on a hot streak. The injury, especially to Aaron Judge, I think has really slowed them back a little bit. Josh Donaldson with the weirdest season of has 14 hits but 10 are home runs. Makes no goddamn sense. Their pitching, sometimes Garrett Cole's been really, really good. Everybody else has been a mixed bag of pretzels or Skittles. There's a whole lot. They could go really hot and they can make that AL wildcard team and potentially go on a run, scare some people. They do have the bats and the payroll and all the players, but they got to get healthy and they got to kind of figure it out. Still not sure if Aaron Boone can right the ship. We'll wait and see. So I'm going to stick them kind of in the middle of they got hot, look out, everybody. Or they can miss the playoffs altogether and half of the country rejoices. So they'll sit right in the middle. I still imagine they'll make the playoffs in some regard, though.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think this is probably pretty good where we have it. So what do you think? I mean, obviously we just ranked everybody. I do agree with your sense on the Yankees here. You just don't know. But is there any team here you would want to move around?
I'm feeling pretty good about it. I don't think all 5 of those teams need to go to Vegas. Vegas does not need 5 teams, but those 5, they got some work to do moving forward because it has not been a kind first half of the season for them, that's for sure.
That's fair. That's a fair assessment. Yeah, I mean, definitely the only team really moving to Vegas is the A's, but the other 4, I mean, come on. At this point in time, Vegas might become a 2-3 team city at the rate they're going, or we could get a team in Salt Lake soon enough. This is just. Are you even trying, guys? I don't see it. We do have some parity up here with obviously we have the Twins, Guardians there. Should make the playoffs. Could surprise. A lot of a couple NL Central teams up there, but more importantly, those AL East teams. I mean, none of them really.
Nobody's out of
Even
it.
the Yankees, yeah, even the Yankees are in it potentially, and you just don't know, and that's what's terrifying. Same with the NL West. It's just you just never know. I don't know. I'm excited to see the rest of that the second half of this season. But I think for now we have these pretty accurate. I mean, obviously we'll look back at the end of the year and knowing us, it's going to be completely wrong somehow. It's going to be like the Angels versus the Mariners in the World Series somehow, and we're just going to be like, what? How did this happen?
If it's the Padres and the Angels, I'm going to feel real smart from preseason. But I'm not counting on it right now. But this is what we got. Let us know what we got right. Let us know what we got wrong. Let us know it was absolutely blasphemous. We appreciate you guys tuning in, and we will see you all next week.